Welcome to After Dark at the Fixed Ops Roundtable, featuring Katrina Ness, Vanessa Collins, and Ted Ings. This episode is brought to you by BG Products, partners beyond products. And now for your hosts, Ted Ings, Vanessa Collins, and Katrina Ness.
Good evening, everyone. Happy Monday, and welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable's After Dark show. My name is Vanessa Collins from Northwood University, and I am joined by my peer, Katrina Ness, the one and only Ted Ings, and our very special guest, TREVOR Shannon from Dynatron Software. Ted, it is so good to be back.
It's great to be back, everybody. Katrina, Vanessa, TREVOR, thank you for being here. We're live. It's Monday night, August 5th, 2024. And After Dark is back in business on Mondays and Wednesday nights. And Katrina, I really enjoyed that pop-up event at Northwood. And not only was Tony Owens there, who's in the chat tonight as well, but Northwood was proud to welcome the Dynatron team. And, that was led by some incredible people, Katrina.
Yeah, the event turned out wonderful. It was so good to see so many familiar faces in person and talk about the hottest topics of automotive. So I was so happy that it came together so well and everyone was able to come.
And TREVOR, we're talking in the green room. I really got to thank you, in addition to Katrina and Vanessa. But TREVOR, you helped put that event on the map early on. I think it was back in maybe April or May. We were talking about it. It was still an idea. And, you got behind it. And, that ended up being a lot of people coming up there, TREVOR. I wasn't sure we were going to get a big crowd, but we did.
No, it was an honor to be represented there. Maureen and James with our team was very excited and loved the event with you guys.
So the Northwood event, everybody, was a pop-up event, and that was Fixed Ops Day. And we got some great images from that day as well, because that brought together a lot of people. And if you look at this panel here, there's Katrina over on the right, and then you see the team from Dynatron. Who's in the green top there, TREVOR? Who's that?
That's Maureen Martin, our Senior Vice President of Strategic Alliance. She's been with Dynatron for many, many years. No stranger to automotive.
Yep, and I see James Grogan next to Katrina on the right. And what does James do at Dynatron?
James is our Senior Vice President over client success. So he heads up our whole coaching team, all of our client training, our workshop team, our Sell Smart training. He oversees all those operations.
So this was a high caliber panel. Sean Kingery is on it. And then Kent McDonald. Dr. McDonald is the president of Northwood University. And he was on that Dynatron panel. And we learned a whole lot during this event. But Dynatron was fantastic. And we talked about fixed ops education, TREVOR, and the importance of that, and graduating, young, passionate people into the world of automotive. And that was just a great time. Here's Richard Lupo. I see Tony Owens here on this one, and Owen Moon, and Katrina as well. And Vanessa, who's in this picture with you and Katrina?
We have LG Bright, who is our chair of automotive at Northwood University. And then we have, again, Ken McDonald, president of the university, who just signed his second term.
Wow. LG looks a little surprised in this photo.
Oh, he was so happy to be there.
Yeah, no, that was a fantastic event, and that was very well received. And we are going back to Northwood. We'll have some information on those dates. We're having another pop-up there. We have a very busy calendar, TREVOR, coming up the next couple months, starting with our 4-day event, Katrina, which is coming up in September. That's what this theme is, with the summer and the beach and all that. Tell us about that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so this will be the Fixed Ops Roundtable's Summer Palooza. This will be the largest Fixed Ops Roundtable yet, and we are having amazing speakers per usual and a bunch of different panels and guests that will be featured. The dates are September 16th through the 19th, and you can get your complimentary tickets now at fixedopsroundtable.com. We'll see you there.
Yep, and then you got Ed Roberts, you have Sean Kingery, there's Sarah Van Tyne and Tully, and we got a couple new things up our sleeve for this event, and we've just started a new platform to communicate with our audience by text. So you're going to be seeing a lot of things coming out over the next few weeks, and next 6.5 weeks, I think is what it is, and excited about that. So Trevor, here we are, back to you, okay, and Dynatron. So you're in Florida. I know the hurricane is going, right through Florida, and our hearts are with everybody, that's affected by that. But you're not affected where you are, right?
No, we're blessed. We're on the east coast of Florida, Central Florida, Cocoa Beach area. So it's staying to the north and crossing west to east of the state north of us. So we're doing good here. There's several people on the other coast I've been speaking to, friends that are not as fortunate. They're getting some floodwaters and a lot of wind damage, and it could be a lot worse. It's but still a lot of people are going to suffer from it.
Okay. So if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about you, because I've learned from following your feed on Facebook, you're a deep sea fisherman, and that prompted some information from Katrina a little bit earlier in the green room. But tell us about that, Trevor, how you got into that. And
yeah, definitely. So I grew up on the east coast of Florida. We live right near Port Canaveral, which is rockets and cruise ships. So we have open access to the Atlantic Ocean. Grew up, as long as I can remember, being on boats, fishing, scuba diving, anything in or around the water. I actually, a lot of people don't know, I actually hold a Coast Guard captain's license, a 50-ton master license to operate vessels. Always been in automotive. It's something it's a passion of mine. I feel when I retire, it's something that I'll probably look further into, whether it's running a charter business or moving boats for people, but just something that I'm passionate about and really enjoy. Pictures you see here is my family. We do once a year, we go to the Keys. We spend a week in the Keys. My whole family are all active scuba divers, spear fishermen, offshore fishing. They've just been, brought up doing it. It's all they know. So it's something we enjoy as a family, and we continue to, do that every year. We go down and will for as long as we're able.
So who do we have in the picture? Who?
So we got going from the left to right. So Logan is in the pink shirt. He's our oldest son. He is lives on his own over in Orlando. He is 20 years old. And then we have Shaylee, his longtime girlfriend. They live together. We have our middle child, Ashton, in the middle, followed by Emery, our daughter, and then myself, and then my wife, Cassie.
Wow. Okay. Very good. And I showed this one just a little bit earlier, but this references the scuba diving. There we are.
Absolutely. I'm actually a rescue diver as well. Like I said, all the kids have been certified open water along with my wife. So it's something we enjoy to do as a family together.
Okay. And you sent a couple pictures of some of the prizes. Look at this. Wow.
Yes. We were fortunate this year. Florida usually does lobster season. They do a 2-day mini season, and then they open up the regular season. That's usually the third week in July. This year, after we had already booked our trip, our governor decided that they were going to give us one extra day, and it ended up being on the Sunday that we were there. So we got to take advantage of that.
That's quite a haul there.
Yeah, that's a decent one. Look
at that. And Katrina, you were mentioning there's an event up by where you are, further up the coast in Maryland, and then Trevor said he's going to that. What's going on there, Katrina?
Yeah, so there's something called the White Marlin Open. It's the largest and richest fishing tournament to this day. Been happening for well over 50 years. It's right down the street from me because I'm in Ocean City, and the dealer group I work for this summer is one of the big sponsors for it. So I was out there today working like a booth that we had and kind of advertising and getting our name out as the boats were pulling up with 160-pound fish on them. So it was pretty cool. And Trevor is going to be coming up later this week, which I just found out, which is awesome.
Yep, fly out Wednesday. I'll be there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Now, will you be in the booth at all towards the end of the week?
I won't. I'll be doing other stuff in the dealership this week, but other people from the group will be. So I was just here today.
I will stop by the booth for sure.
Yes.
So Trevor, you mentioned this is the first time going to this particular event?
Yes, this will be my first time going up there for this tournament. I'm actually part of a fishing association here in our local area that we put on a lot of the offshore tournaments out at Port Canaveral, but this will be my first tournament, of that scale being part of. So I'm really excited to go up there and see what it's all about.
Jeff Bogaski, welcome. You were with us up at Northwood. It seems just yesterday, but I guess it's about almost a month ago, maybe a little over a month ago, right? And Jeff, great job on the panel that you were on, and a lot more to come. So appreciate you being there. And we all learned a lot about Dynatron. And Trevor, everywhere I look now, I see Dynatron everywhere, and it's sort of like the tipping point, I think, has happened, and now that's who knows how high this sky is going to go for Dynatron.
Yeah, we used to be known as the best kept secret in automotive, and I'll tell you, in the last 2 years, that has drastically changed with the amount of new sales that we see coming in.
That's awesome. So Trevor, will you give us kind of just like a rundown of what Dynatron is for those that don't know?
Yeah, absolutely. So Dynatron's a software platform. That's we receive your closed RO data from your DMS. We then take that and analyze it in ways that the DMS doesn't give you the capability to do. We look at pricing compliance. We look at when we're building out a labor matrix, we're going to look at that and say, hey, a lot of people look at a labor matrix and say, hey, I'm going to start here and I'm going to escalate, $4 every hour throughout the labor matrix. Our software takes it so much further. Our coaches take it so much further. We analyze, where's that dealer flagging hours? We see a lot of times the effective labor rate that a dealership is targeting isn't until that 8 or 10 hours of the labor matrix. And they may not flag any hours past 3 hours. So we look at that and say, hey, to achieve this effective labor rate that you are after, that you want, we really need a labor matrix that starts here and maybe only escalates up until 5 hours and then holds that ELR throughout the rest of the labor matrix. Our tool then, once that labor matrix is created, we can upload that into our software and measure and say, if this labor matrix was in place last month, last year, the last 3 months, last quarter, whatever data sample you want to look at, here's where your effective labor rate would have landed. So we can create a labor matrix and really say, by having this in place, this is what your effective labor rate will be. Most of the time, a labor matrix is created and we just go with a gut instinct and we say, hey, that's good. We put it in place, and 6 months later, we're not getting the ELR we're looking for. And then you end up changing it again and again till you find that. Versus our software allows you to completely back test that, create that, take all the guesswork out of it.
Okay, so you've really taken something, like you said, that's kind of been, for many dealers, a swag system, and you've really made it a lot more scientific and analytical by putting focus on that. I would kind of reference that maybe to like used cars, what V Auto did 15, 20 years ago, but in a different way on fixed ops. But you've really made a lot of dealers better.
Yes. Yeah, we're known as the V Auto of fixed ops, and a lot of that comes inside of what's called our virtual performance group. So all of the data that we're collecting, we then compare it. So we could say, if Ted owned a Ford dealership here in Florida, we could look at Ford dealerships in the Southeast and show, here's the effective labor rate that, is the average. Here's the top, here's the bottom performing. Where do you want to be inside of that? So we can price it that way. And we take it even further than the repair. We really specialize in the maintenance side of it. So in maintenance, we could look at an alignment and say the average Ford dealership's paying their technician 1.1 hours, you're paying 1.6 hours. We can then test hypothetical situations and say, what if we went to 1.1 hours? What kind of gross profit does that generate for us just by changing the flag time or changing the sale price or, changing the ELR, all of those things. We can analyze it. And again, taking the guesswork out of it, saying, here's where you will end up. This is the impact it will have on your business.
And Trevor, what you do is unique because I don't know of any other company that does what Dynatron, what Les had the foresight to think of a while back, but this thing has really grown. When I first met Les 5 years ago, I think there were a little over 1,000 dealers, somewhere around there. What's the number today, Trevor? How many?
Last I heard, we were up over 3,700 dealerships. Some of the biggest dealer groups in the country, we work with those. The growth has just been amazing.
That's awesome.
So obviously there is a need and a want for dealerships to have this for their business. So how does Dynatron help these dealers to find hidden revenue opportunities within their service department?
Yeah, so absolutely. When we onboard a dealer, one of the first things we start off with is pricing compliance, because we don't want to set perfect pricing if we know our service advisors aren't even charging what they're supposed to be charging. So one of the features in our tool is measuring pricing compliance. So it looks at every labor hour that's flagged, it compares it to the labor matrix, and then shows you your service advisor charged $150 and it should have been $186. It then shows them the revenue that they lost by price changing, but more importantly, it shows them the ELR loss. It shows them your ELR should have been this if your service advisors charged the correct prices. Here's where you ended up. So we start with pricing compliance, and we show the managers how to manage that, best tips, reports to manage that. Then we move into optimizing price. So now we want to make the pricing perfect. We'll use our virtual performance data. So where we, again, 4 dealerships in the Southeast are charging X amount. Where should you be? We also do mystery shops once a quarter. So we shop all the dealers that, dealers or aftermarkets that maybe aren't our clients and we don't have that data. So then we can say, hey, the guy down the road is really charging this, and make, really just strategic pricing adjustments, which is our optimization. Then we move into the phase of performance and penetration. What are we selling and how much are we selling of it? And we look at that as, back to the virtual performance group. We may say to a client, you're selling brake flushes on 2% of the vehicles that come through your service drive. Average Ford dealership in your market is selling at 4%. We can then do the same thing and back test that and say, what does 4% look like in your store? So our tool will say to achieve 4%, we would need to sell an average of this many. So then we can break that down into each service advisor needs to sell this, X amount per day. But then we also show you what is that change worth to you? What does 4% look like in gross dollars? So then, a lot of service managers are like, that mind blown. Wow, I can make this small change, and over the course of the year, it's going to make me an additional $40,000, $50,000. So that's a big part of our software. And like Tony said, ELR is so important. One, you're making, the money you're making and you're holding the gross up front, but 2, that leads into your warranty increases. Most of the states, we then can say, Mr. Dealer, your effective labor rate is now this. You're being reimbursed from your manufacturer for $20 less than this. Our team then does the heavy lifting for you. We do the whole analysis. We do the repair order audit. Nice. Get that to the manufacturer, and those results are just icing on the cake.
So Trevor, let's talk about that because in the last 2 years, maybe a little bit more, we've had a lot of inflation in our country, and I know it. Vanessa probably knows it because I know when she goes to the grocery store, what cost $100 maybe 2 years ago now, costs $150 or maybe $200, right? Depending where we go. But things cost more, and I think we all can relate to that. And not only do things cost more in the grocery store, but now at the dealership, technicians are making more. There are a lot of costs involved. So on the warranty side, do you help dealers? I'm throwing you a softball, Trevor. Do you help dealers, to recover the proper amount that they're due for labor and parts?
Absolutely. We do it for parts and labor. We start that, when a dealer onboards with us, we want to make sure that when we do file for that warranty increase, we've maximized the customer pay, because once we maximize that, it gives us more to go after with the manufacturer. So we do that with parts and labor both. We look at the parts matrix that they have in place. Are your hot spots where you're selling the highest volume of parts? Is that where you're really targeting the parts market if you want? Again, most people create a parts matrix, and when I was young in my career and I didn't know better, I would say, okay, a penny to $5 is going to get X%. I just slowly brought that markup down as the parts cost got higher. But now we look at it and say the dealership selling most of the parts and the cost is averaging $150 to $250. That's the area in the parts matrix I really want to maximize. That's where I'm going to hold the most amount of money. It's going to have the highest impact it's also going to have the highest impact to our warranty increase. So we look at that as well.
So Robert Miggs is in the chat, and he's with Carter Myers Automotive. Good evening, Robert. Happy anniversary, by the way, to you and your bride. I saw the posts over the weekend. And they've partnered with Dynatron, Trevor. So CMA, great news there. We have some news coming up on Carter Myers as well in the next few weeks. So a lot happening there. So Tony Owens made a comment here in the chat. He said, do not take the yearly manufacturer increase. What is that as opposed to doing what you do, which I think is like you said, the heavy lifting?
Mm-hmm. So a lot of manufacturers will come to the dealers and they'll say, okay, inflation is X percent. Because of that, we're willing to give you this much as a warranty increase. Dealer looks at it as free money and they sign up, and so much money is left on the table because of that. Ford as a manufacturer often will come to a dealer and say, hey, we'll give you X amount of increase every year for the next 3 years, sign this contract. A lot of times dealers don't even read that fine print. They don't understand it. They come, to us as a client, we work with them, and then we're ready to go after their warranty increase for, God, sometimes, it's astronomical, $500,000-$600,000 a year, is what these are worth. And to find out that they're in a contract and they can't do it, it just takes the wind out of their sails. So yes, never accept what the manufacturer is going to give you.
Well, do you find that a lot of dealers are just too busy? The manager, they just don't have time to do all this.
100%.
What does it really come down to?
Yeah, so I remember I was still running a store when Ford passed their laws, and I did my first. I was at a Chrysler store and jumped through all the hoops, and I probably had 2 weeks invested in trying to find the best set of ROs. Then putting them into the spreadsheet. Where's my ELR? No, that's not what I want. And then I go grab another 100, start the process over, and then submitting it and jumping through all those hoops. Versus our software, it looks through every RO based on your state rules. Usually it's 180 days is the common rule. So we're going to analyze every RO over 180 days to come up with the 100 that's in order that's going to provide you the highest increase. So that's where, years ago before software, that would be a 2-week process to try to do that. And the guys that have done it will really understand how much the software helps us now.
I have a question for you. What are some of the top service challenges that you find in the service department? What are some of the top challenges that this department faces, and how does Dynatron really help solve these?
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the things, and I would say fixed ops is getting better at this, but years ago, and it's how I got promoted to a manager, it was, man, you're a really great service advisor, and the service manager just quit and walked out, so there's your office. Go figure it out. So a lot of dealerships lack that expertise, and knowing, and people don't know what they don't know. So partnering with someone where you get coaching as part of that, we can look at it from the 30,000-foot view and really give a lot of insight and recommendations, best practices as far as, just lacking the support to do it, time. Again, when I was in a store, I used to take every repair order from the cashier. They would be set on my desk. And I would go through them the next day, looking at it. Did we do a multi-point inspection? Did we recommend, the needed services? Did we charge the right price? A lot of us old timers, every sales price I had set in my DMS ended in 88 cents. I didn't tell my service advisors that. I just did that. So then when I saw a ticket that came across and the sale price was $95 even, I knew he changed the price right away. So just that time to do these manual repair order audits that you have to do if you want to get better. You have no way to see it. Now our software is doing those things for you. And then just the tools. The DMSs have evolved greatly. They still don't provide everything you need. The data's there, but they don't analyze it in the way that you can find where are we losing profit.
So earlier in this episode, you were talking about perfect pricing and the labor matrix. So I was wondering, what is a perfect pricing labor matrix?
So the perfect labor matrix is going to be the one that fits for that store. And that goes back to not just saying my starting rate's $150. I need to do a new labor matrix because of inflation. So I've been the guy, I've done it this way. Okay, I'll go to 155 now and keep my escalation and everything the same. And that goes on for years and years and years, versus you may not need to change that starting price. Maybe that $150 for your 1 hour is where you need to be, but then at 3 hours where you're flagging the most amount of work, maybe that's where you need to be at that 165. So just really identifying where does that dealership flag hours? Where that dealership flags hours is where we want our target ELR, because that's where we're flagging the most amount of time. So that's going to have the highest impact. Perfect pricing on maintenance is, again, what are our competitors charging? What are we, even perfect pricing goes past that. What should we sell it for? We also got to look at the technician times. Many times we onboard a store and we look at it and they're paying a technician 2 hours for an alignment. And we start talking to them about it. Where did that 2 hours come from? I don't know. That's what we've always paid them. Well, if you were paying them 2 hours 15 years ago on an alignment machine that you really had a lot of manual process, then that made sense. So one of the first things I used to, when I was a coach for a long time, I would ask the service manager, how's your alignment machine? Oh man, we just got that brand new Hunter machine 6 months ago. Did you change your labor time? How much faster are your technicians doing your alignments?
Right.
And we want to be fair with the technician 100%, but we also want to be fair with the customer and hold the ELR that we're looking for. So perfect pricing is it's looking at all aspects of it and knowing it and being able to make a decision knowing the results, instead of, for years what we've done is we've just guessed and said, this is what it needs to be. This, with our tools, any change that you want to make, we can do a hypothetical situation and say, if that change was in place over the last quarter, here's the impact. And then you have confidence making that decision. And then when you roll it out to your team, they have confidence in still selling that service with whatever adjustments you make.
And Trevor, so it's in a nutshell, Dynatron is it's software, okay, but it's also expertise, it's analytics, it's industry know-how, and it's some of the best tools and coaching that you could possibly get to help coach your team, especially the manager needs coaching. Trevor, you need somebody from the outside to come in, whatever the basis, whether it's monthly or 6 weeks or 8 weeks, you need that outside person to come in and, help guide the manager, if you will, a coach for them.
Absolutely. We invest a lot of money in the front of the house in variable. And fixed ops from a training aspect is often overlooked. Even advisor training, we could have a whole nother show on advisor training.
I was looking at a scoreboard, if you will, from a dealer today, and I was looking at a third party, and for the last month, which would have been in July, they ran, I think, 52% of just looked at all their ROs, customer pay, were one line item ROs, okay, 52%, and that jumped out, okay, it shouldn't be anywhere near that number. But that's that's the kind of stuff you look at and you help guide them.
Absolutely.
All right. So Dynatron is going to be at the next Fixed Ops Roundtable. That's coming up soon. Tony Owens, I really like your new profile photo because it's got the Summer Palooza event on there. And Dynatron will be there. You'll see Trevor, you'll see Maureen, and of course, you'll see some of the folks who are up here on the screen, Ed Roberts and Sean Kingery and Sarah and Tully. That is a virtual event, September 16th to 19th. Everybody, if you would, get your complimentary tickets now. We have a lot coming out for this event and a lot of very nice surprises you're going to see. So I'm looking forward to that. And of course, looking forward to seeing Vanessa and Katrina there as well.
Yes, so excited. It's going to be the biggest event yet.
I think so. I know it is. So, all right, everybody, thank you for tonight. August 5th, getting restarted here on the After Dark show. And Trevor, thank you for coming on tonight and telling us more about yourself and about Dynatron.
Yes, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Trevor.
All right, so we'll be back Wednesday night, I think, right? Yeah, Wednesday night we're going to be live. We're going to have Don Andres with us, author of a new book on service departments, and he's got great experience in the automotive industry. He's on a number of panels for the next event. So join us, everybody, on Wednesday And we'll see you here on the After Dark show. And again, special thanks to Dynatron Software and Trevor Shannon for being here tonight with Katrina and Vanessa. Everybody, we'll see you Wednesday.